Alright people, how we doing? Hope you're all good. I'm alright. Want to jump on here and do a wee talk about this guy who I never met him in prison, funnily enough, right? Um, but the guy has a criminal history, obviously. That was obviously how it relates to me coming on and talking about it. So, the guy who I'm speaking about, his name is Michael Franzese. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard of him, but he was like involved in organised crime in New York City growing up. His his dad was like fucking right high up in one of the five families, as it's called, in New York City. Five mafia families that are basically like they've been there for the 30s. I believe that they formally organised early 30s and they're still kicking about the now, right? Um, so like one of the shows Michael was on, it was on Netflix. Was it Fear City? So he's been on that. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's quite successful. He's a pastor now as well. But I'll get into kind of how I'd ended up hearing about him. I remember, I think as I've said before, right, like when I was growing up, like how I would read about all these kind of gangsters and crime figures and all that, and kinda, not gonna lie, like looked up to a lot of them and was like, I'm gonna grow up and do what they do and blah blah blah, right? Uh, but he ended up starting out like obviously he wasn't before he got involved with the mafia. He was like I think he was going to med school or law school, right? One of them. But obviously his dad was like kind of one of the most well known mafia. I mean publicly, right? Obviously, like because the mafia is meant to be a secret society, and the public isn't meant to know who they are. But Michael's dad, John Franzese, he gets called Sonny Franzese. He did a lot of publicity, right? In the 60s, 50s, 60s, right? And he got 50 year for bank robbery 50 years ago. Now, Michael's always said how um, he believes his dad was innocent of the bank robberies. Um, and I'm not questioning that. But the funny thing was, right, his dad, I'm not going to lie, man, his dad sounds like he'd boss ass steel, man. He said to the He said to them after they gave him 50 year, you watch, I'll do it every day that 50 year, basically saying fucking get it up, you know what I mean? I think he done like 30 year or something. But Michael ended up quitting med school and all that and like basically kind of getting involved in the street life because obviously he was going to visit his dad and he's basically like, listen, I want to help you, I believe that you never done this and blah blah blah, and he's ended up like jumping about with some serious killers and guys that are earning all sorts of paper, know what I mean? And one of the kind of um, things that Michael gets a lot of kind of publicity about is this thing called the gasoline tax scam, right? So back in the 80s, right, the mafia were in about this scam where they took advantage of a tax loophole, right? And basically, what happened was each company selling gas, or as we call in the UK, petrol, each person had to, like, what was it? It was like do your own tax stuff and hand it in or something. But what they were doing was setting up a company, skimming all the profit, right? Because obviously a portion of that's supposed to get sent to the government, but they weren't doing that. What they were doing was setting up the company, getting all the money, and then so say there's a period of time before the law starts catching on to it. So what they would say it was like 6 months, right? So they'd set a company up for 5 months and do it for that long, and then just shut it down onto the next company, boom, 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 right? So money laundering and that as well, right? It's tax evasion and money laundering and all, because that's what what you're doing when you're shutting all these companies down and putting the money well, putting the money through the system and all that. And it was quite successful. I mean, he was getting a lot of attention for like other kind of high profile gangsters, because obviously he's like the goose with the golden fucking egg, know what I mean? And it's like, come work for me, and all that shit, know what I mean? But for what I understand, he's kind of kept his wits about him. He's not kind of showing it, not well showing it amongst them, but obviously he was quite high profile back then. And I remember reading his name in a book, because this book was about a guy called John Gotti, right? And there's a programme on Netflix just now about him called Getting Gotti, but there's no really anything in it. There's no really any new details in it. I suppose with Netflix, I know it's like a kind of spin-off. It's like, oh, because obviously I grew up during the times when all these people were kicking about, and obviously, so it's like there's a new generation that's probably never heard of any of these guys, so it's like, we'll make a programme, make money, blah blah blah. So anyway, what happened was, so the there was a guy who went to Michael Franzese and said he was getting hassled after this guy, right, who was kind of connected to somebody, but he never said who it was, right? And so they were running a flea market, and the guy wanted rid of his partner, who was a drug addict, right? And Michael's got people to kind of tell him to bolt, and the guys went running to John Gotti, who he was in his circle. I think the guy's name's James Cardinale, and he'd actually testified against John Gotti in his first trial, the RICO trial that he went through. He was a witness in that. It was one of the trials anyway. I think it was the RICO trial, the first one. So John Gotti's ended up phoning Michael up, like, listen, I need to talk to you, and he's went down and been like, listen man, that guy is one of my pals, blah 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 blah. But Michael's obviously, he's really, for what I understand, he's obviously really really business savvy, right? Whereas Gotti's just like, just doesn't give a fuck who you're with. If he thinks he's the right man, he's going to just argue the point all day till you fucking give in, or just give him what he wants, or fucking take a back seat, whatever, right? And Michaels obviously says to him, can I buy you out? Meaning, can I buy your share in this flea market? And he's like, no, you'd no buy me out, I'll buy you out. So he's like, right, fuck it then, geese it. And yeah, the flea market went bust like fucking 5 months later or something. But so that was the first time I had ever heard it. That, I think I was like maybe 13 or something when I read that book. But the funny thing is, right, Michael ended up getting busted. That actually he got made in the 70s. Made means like obviously inducted into the mafia, right? And see, say there was 10 of them that all get made that night. There's only 2 of them still alive, right? The rest all got murdered, and one of them actually went into witness protection because he'd been charged with all these murders, and there was like there was a thing called the Colombo War, right? There was a few of them, but the last one I think was in the early 90s, and so this guy who was made on the same night as Michael, he became a witness because he was involved in all that, and ended up just saying, horns up man, fucking the FBI, what to give a deal and all this. So him and Michael, the only two that's still alive. But the guy obviously had to do a bit of time, because they're not going to let you like these kind of guys. Usually they'll do a few years in jail before they get let out in new lives and all that. So out of all the people he got made with, they're the only two still kicking about there now. But Michael ended up, I think he got 10 years, right? And I don't know if he done the whole 10 years or a bit of it or whatever. And then he's got out at the start of that war, or that shooting between different factions, and he's basically he got sent back to jail for a parole violation, they call it. We just say recalled. They call it parole violation. And I think he done another couple of years in the gout, but he's like turned his life around. He's a minister, he's a motivational speaker. So, and he's got his own wine business, his own pizza business, so he's fucking printing money, you know what I mean? Doing alright for himself. So I'll go on to how I actually met him. So somebody, for a birthday present, I think it was last year, bought me a ticket to go and see him, right? And it was meant to be James English who was hosting this. It was a free course. This is how it was sold, right? A free course meal in the Radisson Blue Hotel, like fucking top notch shit, right? And on the day, so there was like free course meal and then fucking a speech in the ballroom. So Michael Franzese has got to be talking and you can ask him questions and all this shit, right? So fucking, not gonna lie, ended up taking a few eds that day, right? Edibles, right? Thinking I'm just got to go to this fucking 5-star hotel, whatever the fuck it is, right? And sit down to this fucking £100 a plate, right? Fucking yeehaw, it's got to taste amazing, some experience, blah blah blah. And then the person who bought me the ticket phoned me and says the ticket person had phoned them and says James English has pulled out. He says he had COVID or something. Are you still coming? And like, what do you mean he was still fucking coming? Like, if he's pulled out, where is it then? Cut a long story short, it's ended up fucking, the guys gave us an address to a fucking church in Glasgow city centre, right? And I'm like, what? A fucking church? Right? Nae cordon bleu fucking food, nothing, man, right? And we're standing waiting for him to show up. And I'm standing there, right? And there's like people carriers with guys getting out and all, and I'm just looking at some of them and I'm going, they just look like they've just walked out of shots, man. Like, I didn't know them, but when you've been about, you can kinda spot, you kinda know the look and that, no? Like, they didn't look like, I don't mean they looked like they were like addicts or anything, I just mean they just had the eyes, and I was just like, oh man, and see, cause I'd had a few heads, I'm sitting going, I'm not sitting in a church fucking, and we were waiting ages for him to show up, man. There was hundreds of people still showed up, even though James English is pulled out, it's not in the Radisson anymore, and we're no refunding you, so, so, and we went to, I think Michael ended up kind of going, like, like, no, fuck that, if they're all pulling out, I'll still go and meet them, because obviously if he's a minister in America, he that's obviously how he's just got a hold of a church and just like went down to meet people. And we were all up the stairs, waiting for him to come in. There was hundreds of people downstairs, hanging about outside. There was quite a lot of people there, and because there was this big seated area, see where the pews should have been. It wasn't like actually pews; it was like seats, and my head's off kicked right in, man, and I'm just sitting there. I wasn't like paranoid or anything like that. I was just pure mellowed right out, man, and there was people getting out and coming back with cargo, right? And I'm just sitting there going, this'll end up kicking off in here, like, or something, and I'll be just sitting, chairs flying on my head. Like, fucking hell, know what I mean? But, I just went up, man, and when he eventually appeared, he's walked in, man. The whole room just went pure silent, and I was actually going to shout something, see, like, a thing of people, Glasgow people would all understand, like, a bit laugh at, but then I was thinking, no, fuck that, man, do you know what I mean? See, just try to break the ice and get everybody kind of fucking warmed up a bit, know what I mean? Because it was a bit tense. And he's walked in, and obviously his missus was with him, man. I think it's Christina. I think he met her when he was fucking producing a film out in California, bankrolling a film, and she was one of the dancers on set, or an actress, something like that. And he's ended up marrying her, and they've got kids and all that. But they've walked in, and everybody, like, there was guys getting up and asking him to sign books and all that, and I'm just standing in a queue, baked out man up, right? And I'm like, I just want a photo took with him, and then I'm getting fucking home. I can eat what I want in the house, know what I mean? I was just thinking about getting my photo took in, in boosting, especially when I saw people buying cargo, because I'm maybe thinking, do you know what I mean? Like, and there wasn't really any kind of, for what I seen, there wasn't like security that, like, if like, so say if somebody went and got drunk and kicked off, like, they would be huckled. Obviously he must have had somebody with him, because I don't think he would just walk about, even though he's left the life and all that. I mean, like, they would, because he's got the money and that as well, do you know what I mean? So I think there would have been people there, maybe I just didn't notice them. Know what I mean, after the ball. But ended up, I stood there, and I got up, when it was people were lining up to take photos with him, and then when it was my turn, I was want to tell him about myself, how I'd been in trouble with the law, and looked up to people like that as a kid, and knew how I've left the jail behind, and like done my studying and got my kid and went straight, like, the good shit in my life, know what I mean? And I was just baked, man, and I ended up just going, alright mate. I walked up, alright Michael, I'm Chris, shook his hand, got a photo took, and just that, nice to meet you, and just fucking walked away, went home. And I'd had one of my family members had a birthday party that day, and they were asking me to go, and I was like, I'll come down straight after it, but see, cause I'd had the heads, man, I was going nowhere but the fucking couch and the fridge, know what I mean? Oh, what, man, fucking, but he's doing right well for himself, and he does a lot of, Michael, he's got his own YouTube channel, it's called Michael Franzese, I think. Good, it's got a lot of kind of, if you're into that kind of stuff, it does have a lot of people on it, and like, doing interesting stories. Like, one of the guys who he's on it quite sometimes with is, see the guy out of the film Bronx Tale, Chaz Palminteri. He's an Italian American actor, he's a good actor, man. He was in it, and I'd actually heard that the bar scene, the biker scene where they smash all the bikers for fucking spraying one of the bartenders with Budweiser. I heard that was actually based on his dad, do you know what I mean? But who knows, you know what I mean? It's just the legend, innit? But I wanted to come on and talk about that, because obviously, like, it's kind of a different story as opposed to talking about fucking the other stuff I've been talking about. This is kind of the same, but it's very different. It's like somebody who's been in prison, but I've actually met them outside. Do you know what I mean? And it was actually quite surreal meeting them. Sometimes I look at the photo and go, like, who would I have thought? Like, even, and another thing, the month after, or was it the month before that? That was the month after, right? I went to see Jordan Peterson. I don't know if any of you have heard of him, some of you will have. He's a psychologist, but I read his book in prison. And well, one of his books is called 12 Rules for Life, and it kind of went over my head. I didn't really get a lot of it, but then see, when I read it for the second time, I was like, holy fuck, it just hit me. And I'd actually referenced a lot of his stuff in some of my previous papers, and the reason that I'm talking about him is because before I had done all the sentences, I hadn't done anything like this, like, went to fucking events and like things like that, living your life. Like, I remember when I walked in, it was in the SECC, the Science Centre, and I remember walking into that auditorium and it was fucking packing, right? And see now, I just hate being in crowds, right? And I don't mean like I get pure jumpy, not. I just mean I'm always scanning the crowd, always looking for things out of place, always being aware of my environment, which is kind of like just, it's threat assessment, innit? Now, what you could say, what kind of fucking threat are you going to find at a Jordan Peterson lecture? But you'd be fucking surprised. Look what happened at that Ariana Grande concert, you know what I mean? Couple of years back. I don't know why I'm like that. Maybe it's prison or just the way I'm built. I don't know. But my point is, it just shows you, like, people can come back for doing sentences and doing time and like serious time. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't get to meet Jordan Peterson, which I was fucking gutted about, right? But do you know what? I got to go and see him, and I was so fucking not even proud of myself. Just I felt like a civilian. It made me feel like a member of society doing these things. Like I'm just living my life now, staying out of jail. Whereas before all this, I was just running about the schemes, fucking causing havoc. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, there's always the next generation, and then the next after them, the next after them. But hopefully, as I keep saying, sometimes there's got to be people who will see that it's no good. Who you look, if you look up to fucking whoever, big time fucking gangsters, drug dealers, all that shit. Because let's be honest, right? Everybody, or a huge amount of people, right, who end up in prison and all that, they all want to be like that. That's how everybody's fucking favourite films is, like Goodfellas, and every poster they've got up in their room, apart from like fucking posters of Beyonce or whoever it is. It's all gangster shit. They all read gangster books, and it's because in any sort of profession if you want to be a football player, right, and you start off kicking a ball about out your front door, who do you look up to? Your Ronaldos and your fucking Pelés or whoever, right? And crime's no different in that regard, because everybody, whether you look up to somebody in your area, your city, your country, or somebody on a global scale, there's always somebody else out there who you look up to, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I looked up to all these guys as a kid. Used to read everything I could find about it and then reread it so that I didn't even need to read any anymore, because it was all in my head and I could like almost had an encyclopedic knowledge about it. And people modelling themselves on these people because you're young, you're impressionable, you've maybe not got a dad at home, and if you have got one, he's just fucking lying on the couch pissed all the time, full of that, or fucking just not being a dad, do you know what I mean? And that's pretty shit, but do you know what I mean? I can only speak for myself and my own kid, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to like talk about other people, but I just go with what I see and filter it through my own kind of knowledge and shit, do you know what I mean? So I do think a lot of people that start out committing crime like as a teenager, and I don't mean committing crime like even fucking selling drugs, you know what I mean? Like running about with blades and hanging about in groups and just being a nuisance. I think a lot of it stems from in the home, your parents not showing you the right way, whatever, and um, it just fucking evolves for there, doesn't it? But I'll let you go and fucking back to what you were doing. I'm got to go make some soup, fucking freezing out there. Just made a big pot of hot and sour soup, can't whack it, man. It's a minestrone or hot and sour all day, mate. Brilliant, especially when it's freezing out there, do you know what I mean? So take care, cheers for tuning in, and I'll see you next time I'm on.